Hi, everyone. Good to see you guys. Do we switch this on?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're on. Okay, perfect. So, Boris, let's start with what problem do you solve and for whom?
Yeah, so we are Spryker. We are a digital commerce platform for B2B companies, for enterprise B2B companies. So we like to solve challenges for what we call sophisticated customers. So when you think of, big, complex industries such as automotive, industrial goods, consumer goods, they typically either try to go through digital transformation and bring more than still 70% of their revenues, which are not yet digital, to digital channels, or to build greenfield projects and build new digital initiatives. So either or, and this is when we come in and become the transactional engine behind whatever they build.
Tell us a little bit more about your use cases and how you create value for your customers.
Sure. So there are 3 or 4 buckets that we focus on the most on. One is the traditional B2B use case. So customers like ZF, one of the largest aftermarket automotive manufacturers in the world, 45 billion in revenues. They would bring their sales and the dealer sales and the service stations that they have to digital channels. So this is a good example for B2B commerce, enterprise marketplaces. Second one, again, focus on B2B, right? So when customers try to build enterprise marketplaces, become operator of their own marketplace, this is an area where we feel very good about. Someone like Siemens Healthineers in the medtech space would be a good example for that. Or unified commerce like Aldi, known in Germany, in the US, or in the UK. With unified commerce and IoT commerce, for example, making stores smart, everything behind the sensors, building curbside pickup capabilities, or marketplace would all be powered by one platform, by our platform behind.
Yeah, there's B2C, there's B2B, there's IoT. There are a lot of different use cases, and of course, the market overall started originally on the B2C side of things and then moved over. How do you differentiate yourselves from your competitors?
Yeah, so as you said, I guess everyone here in the audience knows e-commerce, mostly from our private B2C lives, and there are great platforms, for SMB up to the enterprise serving this market very well. However, the B2B opportunity is much, much larger than that. The B2B commerce market is estimated to be at least 10x larger than B2C commerce. Then enterprise marketplaces on top gives you another 10x, and then comes IoT commerce, where customers like Ricoh or Siemens Healthineers would make their devices, the actual hardware, their CT scanners, or Scania, like their trucks, smart, another 10x. So it's a big, big, big market, highly complex, highly sophisticated. Sophistication can be in the pricing, in the way how they engage with their customers, approvals, workflows, in the business model itself, in the combination of how they sell to the customers, how they sell to the dealers, how they make the hardware smart. So there are different, what we call markers for sophistication. This is where we feel very comfortable being in, building the right functionality, providing the right architecture, which is designed for this B2B use case. Also serving the scale that they have. So if you think about, for example, number of SKUs that a B2B customer has, or prices that can go in the billions compared to a couple 100,000 max in the traditional B2C commerce example. And of course also integrations, right? So as we are selling primarily to large global enterprises in the billions of revenues, by definition they would have tons of integrations to solve. This can be ERP, this can be their CRM, PIM, and or other integrations they would have. So high complexity there as well, and this is again an area of focus for us.
From a product perspective, you're active in a bunch of different areas. From a geographical perspective, you're active in the US and Europe. You have some customers in APAC. What do you see as your key pillars of growth going forward?
Yeah, so for us, from a regional perspective, as you said, I think the US is by far the most important market. So we invest a lot into growing our footprint in the US, EMEA obviously being our home market, and a little bit less than 20% of the GMV that we process over the platform is in the APAC region and or in Latin America. However, again, doubling down the US is definitely one of the most important strategic priorities. M&A, we think about this in different ways, from adjacent product categories, to maybe some kind of consolidation plays. And of course, also doubling down on the product roadmap that we have. Most importantly, given the current macro environment, customers are very focused on efficiency, on cost savings at the moment, unlike 18 months ago, 24 months ago, where it was a lot about, hey, we want to launch a new greenfield, project, marketplace. So nowadays, if you think about all these names that I mentioned, I think there is no single conversation where customers will not come to us and say, my management, my board wants me to grow 10% this year, but with 20% less spend or headcount or marketing budget. So in that given the current macro environment, investments into obviously AI are important for us. So we think very much about how can we bring down the total cost of ownership. I guess many of us know enterprise projects tend to be very expensive, take a lot of time. This was something which we initially already solved as much as we could when we started the company 9 years ago by providing the technology, the feature set, the architecture to address this. But now, again, with AI in our hands, there are more new capabilities that we have. How can we make sure that our customers or the global partners we have develop faster, decrease efforts into development? How can we integrate some of the technologies in payment, in procurement, in data handling, through AI better? So this is definitely an angle on the product side that we care about a lot and think about a lot.
Yeah, it makes sense, both internally and externally. I mean, given generative AI is so important right now, both from a marketing perspective, but also from a product perspective. Could you double click on that a little bit and tell us a little bit more with regards to what Spryker is doing there?
Yeah, for sure. So again, as I said, if you think about a global initiative, for a customer like Scania, for example, right? It's one of the largest commercial vehicles companies out of Sweden, belong to the Volkswagen group, right? So the platform that we provide them helps them to solve for the IoT use case. So there's a truck going somewhere, and in a predictive way, the truck can pre-order spare parts, schedule maintenance appointments. So everything behind the sensors would be basically our platform. But still, there is a global SI on this project, doing a lot of development work and integration work. And if you look at the TCO over, let's say, 3 to 5 years, then doesn't matter what we charge in terms of usage for the platform. The vast majority, sometimes like 1 to 9 or 2 to 8 kind of ratio, would be for implementation integration, just given how complex they are as a business. So if we can drive down these investments, if we can make sure that the integration and the development efforts that the SIs are doing are less, and if the customer can use more of the funds, more of the budget to create value by using, for example, an AI-enabled SDK, help them with generating data, solve for integration endpoints development. So these are areas that we focus on a lot, which is also to drive the comparison here maybe to some initiatives that B2C companies typically have, where it's a lot about help me to generate images, right? Help me to generate product descriptions. So these are all nice little things, and there are, there's a whole ecosystem already out there, but this is not really impactful in terms of value creation, right? Because we're talking millions that these customers invest. So we try to unlock as much value as we can. So this is definitely an area where a lot of R&D effort go into right now.
Last question, what are your further levers of accelerating growth?
Yeah, so we really need to, if we want to become the category leader in the B2B enterprise commerce space, then we need to win the US. So this is for sure. So more than half of the leadership team that we have is now US based. So we definitely invest there. But we don't want to stop there. There's no geographical limitations. There are also sophisticated use cases in Australia and in Brazil and many other markets. So kind of finding this efficient, repeatable growth levers is important for us. This is what we try to do. We will reach profitability by end of the year. So this is more a matter of how we can accelerate further. And branching out into further industries. I mentioned automotive or industrial goods as good proxies for sophistication. So these are industries where a lot of complexity is in, where we find these repeatable use cases easily. But there are others as well, utilities, insurances, services, telco, with equally sophisticated, complex challenges that we want to branch out into, and doubling down our partner-led go-to-market motion.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Boris and David.